It can be triggering for the INFJ. You can feel incredibly vulnerable and exposed. Or are they projecting something onto you because they're jealous of what you've achieved? Something happened to me today. It's not like it hasn't happened before. In fact, I'm becoming fast friends with what I'm talking about. I figured if you're an INFJ, or at least a sensitive soul, you're gonna know what I'm going through. In fact, I bet you $100 you have experienced this too. It's crippling for an INFJ. It's soul crushing. It's paralyzing, fear mongering, and shame-inducing. What am I talking about? What's something that INFJs and sensitive souls struggle with? That's criticism. Whether it's constructive criticism or bordering onto bullying. Either way, it can make the INFJ feel so down on themselves and like they just want to quit whatever it is that they're doing. Today, we are going to explore all about criticism and why it affects the INFJ so deeply. And then I'm going to give you some tips on what you can do about it. Okay, let's go. Hi, welcome back to my channel, INFJs and Empaths. I'm Sam and I'm an Australian-based counsellor for INFJs, introverts and empaths. I'm also not immune to the human experience, and dealing with criticism is something that I have to face every day. That's the life of a creative, putting themselves out there so publicly. Today, I woke up to 1,000 subscribers. Hooray! But I also woke up to a Facebook comment giving me constructive criticism on one of my best performing videos. This was inside an INFJ Facebook group, and I knew they meant well, especially as they kept saying, "Please don't take this personally." But honestly, I'm an INFJ, and guess what I did? I took it personally. So instead of actually celebrating a huge milestone on my YouTube journey, I decided to have a bit of a cry and vow to never make YouTube videos again. Don't worry, obviously I'm not going to quit, but I did spend the morning feeling pretty sorry for myself, and I really honed in on what this person said, forgetting about all the other dozens of encouraging comments I have received. And that's what we do, don't we, INFJs? And it did get me thinking, why is it that the INFJ struggles with constructive criticism, even when it's apparently a good criticism? Well, I think that's because of a few factors. We are highly empathetic, feeling types who follow our intuition. We are the type of people that put all of our effort into a project, and we take that project very seriously, to the point that we strive for perfectionism. For some INFJs, it can actually lead to a paralyzing feeling where they do nothing and put no creative work out there, in fear of it failing and not being perfect, and then people criticizing them for that. So as you can see, an INFJ is already striving for such excellence that if they receive even a hint of disagreement about their creative endeavor, the INFJ can take this very, very personally. It can be triggering for the INFJ, as it can bring up feelings of inadequacy and shame. In fact, I would say that when it comes to creative projects, the INFJ feels like they put their soul and heart into this. And when you put your soul and heart into something, you can feel incredibly vulnerable and exposed. That any hint of criticism can feel extremely harsh and painful. INFJs are incredibly harmonious and understanding people. They are the type of people who will avoid hurting others at all costs. So when they receive criticism that they themselves would not dish out to others, it can feel like a personal attack on the INFJ's values, beliefs, and their soul's work. Of course, it's important for an INFJ to separate constructive feedback from personal attacks. After I read this Facebook comment and had a cry, I went to my Muay Thai class, and oh boy, I kicked the crap out of that bag. And then I went for a drive out in the bush. I had to decipher, was this person being constructive, or were they wanting to deliberately hurt me? I honestly think they were trying to be helpful. It was about my video editing style, basically, and the way I deliver my message. In this moment, I have two choices. I could listen to the feedback and make changes, or I can disregard it. What will I do? I'm having to learn to choose who I receive criticism from. And you're going to have to do the same thing. If he was a huge YouTuber and super successful at this, then yep, I'd probably be more likely to listen. So as an INFJ who hates criticism, what can you do about this? Basically what I did. It's okay to feel hurt and sad and frustrated. It's a completely normal human experience to feel these things. I would encourage you that rather than pushing it down, to actually allow yourself space and self-compassion to feel into it. So like really feel that hurt, feel that sadness, feel that disappointment. But once you've actually allowed yourself to feel, it's time to pick yourself up again. Move your body, get out into nature, and begin to have a higher perspective on what was dished out to you. Try and look at it in an analytical way and not so emotionally based. Call a friend if you need to hash it out. I sure did. And decide if this criticism is worth listening to. Who is the person? What are their experiences and qualifications? Did they mean well? What can you learn from this? Are they trying to be helpful or are they just being a jerk? Do they have something worthy to say? Or are they projecting something onto you because they're jealous of what you've achieved? Sometimes when people criticize us, it's not to help, but it comes from a wounded place within them. So reflect. Is that what's happening here? Are they wishing they could do what you're doing? Or are they a genuine teacher in your life? I find this type of reflection removes the personal aspect and you're able to look into it in a more empowered and confident way. I hope some of this has helped INFJ. Please let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about and maybe share some tips on what's worked for you. But please don't leave any criticism. Okay, I'm just joking, kinda. Maybe. You might be wondering what to do if this criticism is actually bordering onto online bullying. This is a whole other bag of chips that we could talk about. In fact, I have talked about it in this video. I'd love for you to have a watch. So go on, give the video a click, and I'll see you over there.